So if the entrepreneur believes in himself or herself
Right.
or in the company, the product,
Yeah.
what is the best way how to approach investor and pitch him the idea?
So in the community here, the best way is to get someone introduce you to the investor. They typically don't take cold calls or just walk in the door or introduce yourself that way. Because they like to invest with other investors altogether. So if their friend has been talking with you and them and introduce you and say, hey, I know this guy and this company, take a look at it, they'll probably do it. And I do that too for a lot of companies. For the angel investor community here, and I love doing that. So that's probably the best advice, that just nurture the friendship with the investors or friends with investor, like past serial entrepreneurs who have done this before, get mentors and build relationships that way, build credibility, show your personality, because they want to see you are a people person. They want to invest in someone that is charismatic. Even at your worst time, you can still have the power to pull people on your team to help you out. You won't go broke on relationships. People would still stand by your side. They like to invest in people like that. Make sure that you build a lot of relationship with those people, and when the time comes that you need funding, money would come much easier that way, and a better evaluation as well.
I mean, I talk to startup companies all the time, and what I say that we do is we connect people with startups who are looking for funding, then we help them build great teams. So, people can just reach out to me, Max at peopleconnectstaffing.com. I'd love to start a dialogue and introduce them to people that I think might be able to help them, and see how people connect and how I can help them.
Yeah, I think don't be too aggressive. Okay. Sometimes the investors are not in your sector, but you keep telling your story. That conversation is meaningless, right? Yeah. And sometimes when you are telling your story, don't keep on explaining what you want to do. Always ask for feedback. Okay. Because investors are talking to 20, 30 entrepreneurs every day. Yeah. And they heard a lot of stories, right? But I would say investors meet more entrepreneurs versus entrepreneurs meet the number of investors. So investors, most likely, when you are telling the story to investor, most likely he have heard similar story before. So I think the right way to do is spend 5 minutes, briefly tell your story, and ask for feedback directly. If he's interested or if he's in this sector, right, he will ask for more questions. Yeah. He will challenge you, which is a good thing, right? Being asked of challenge questions from investors means that he's interested in you, right? So don't take challenge as a negative thing. Challenge is definitely a positive thing in a conversation. And don't afraid of challenge, right? So some of the challenge are valid, while some of the challenge are not valid. So when the investors does point out some weak points in your business plan, in your whole story, right? Accept it, admit it, and ask this question: hey, if you were me, what you would do to overcome this challenge? What you would do to solve this problem? Yeah. So I think this kind of conversation will be much more meaningful. And from the investor's perspective, they think, hey, we are on the same page, right? Both you and me, we admit that this is a weak point in this whole story, so that going forward we can work together to solve this problem. Yeah, right. Totally. Right. So if a problem is unresolvable, you can always pivot to the other directions. But the point is, you guys are on the same ship, and the relationship has been built. Yeah. And going forward, right, you can always keep him in the loop and keep updating him. And relationship is being built, and you can going forward. You can use the resource and connections from the investors.
The investor's not trying to hurt you; he's trying to like
right.
both interests in like getting your business to succeed.
Exactly. Because investors they are trying to be helpful, and they are trying to find out the brilliant ideas, trying to find out the next unicorn. So if you firmly believe you are the next unicorn, definitely investors want to be with you. It's just, you need to make the process easier for them as well.
Look, I'm online. I'm very accessible. I'm on Twitter. I'm on, email. LinkedIn is a good place, and I always find time for young entrepreneurs because when I was starting out, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of people who had time for me. So I try and make as much time as I can for young entrepreneurs who are looking for advice or want some insight.
It's almost like getting a job. The first thing you want to do is get an interview, get that meeting. You're not going to get a job by just mailing out your resume and expect someone to phone you with a job offer. Same thing with pitching your company. The first thing you do is you build up your network. You make some arrangements, you send out your pitch deck, you follow up. If you're lucky, you'll get a couple of face-to-face meetings. Do your research, find out what companies these investors have invested in before. Maybe meet with the founder of those invested companies and find out what they like, what they don't like, why they invested. Get somebody on your board that comes from the industry that you're trying to focus on. All kinds of things you can do. So every angel group has a different process. Some have a website. We have a website. Most angel groups have a website where you can fill out an application. Some angel groups have a process where unless you're referred by another angel member, they won't even talk to you. We're a lot more open than that. You'll find angels on pitch panels every week in San Francisco, Palo Alto. There's meetup events about startups. There's all kinds of conferences going on. Basically just meet, approach the speakers on these panels, try and get their email address and follow up and build your network and work your network,
Here's a secret that I use a lot. You go to the meetings and you meet bankers and you meet attorneys, okay? If you want to get to an investor the best way, I found, and to anybody, your channel partners or whatever, find out who the attorneys are for that company, for the VC, or if you wanted to get into Best Buy or something like that. Find out who the attorneys are, or the bankers, who they bank with, and get to meet the bankers. It's easier sometimes to do that than the VCs or the founders of these big companies. And get to show them your product and get their experience and begin to developing the trust that way. And then go and say to them, can I use your name to go to the VC or to the head of the company? So you say that such and such a person from whatever law firm suggested I contact you. You think he's not going to look at that letter? So all the letters that come from everybody else gets put off to the side, but you're saying that such and such a person is recommending you. And of course that guy is going to look at your letter, and then you take it in a professional and good-looking way and lay out your case very shortly. Start off, this is what I offer, and back it up. Don't make it very long, but if you're interested, let me know. I'll send you more material. That's all you have to do. And I can guarantee you, get into more companies. Then when you get to see them, it depends on what part of the country you are. Sometimes you have to wear a tie, sometimes you don't. Silicon Valley, people don't wear ties here, They may wear a sport coat or sweater or something like that. But if I go overseas, a lot of times if I go to Japan or other places, I'll wear a suit and tie. Absolutely. I mean, it's you can wear a lot of things here. You can wear jeans here to presentations, but overseas you don't do that. If you go to New York, you don't do that. So it depends on the part of the culture of the area that you're going to. But look professional. Get your materials professional done, and have your thoughts. I was at a meeting this morning, as an example, somebody in the audience asked what the revenue figures were and how they got them, and they couldn't answer it. So here they are in front of a group of investors, and they can't answer the basic questions. So if I'm an investor, I'm going, this guy hasn't thought through his process of what he wants to do. You have to be able to do that and answer those questions. Don't need a lot of slides, but you have to have thought the whole process through and the alternatives to each step. If you do that, you're going to win.